Hey there pilots, this is Dauntless Sam, and today we'll be looking at the history of the Aichi D3A and its flight characteristics in War Thunder. The Aichi D3A was a World War II carrier-borne dive bomber of the Imperial Japanese Navy. It was the primary dive bomber of the Imperial Japanese Navy and participated in almost all actions, including the attack on Pearl Harbor. The Aichi D3A was the first Japanese aircraft to bomb American targets in World War II, commencing with Pearl Harbor and U.S. bases in the Philippines, such as Clark Air Force Base. During the course of the Second World War, the VAL dive bomber sank more Allied warships than any other Axis aircraft, despite being considered somewhat obsolete when the war started. In mid-1939, the Japanese Navy issued the 11-Shi specification for a monoplane carrier-based dive bomber to replace the existing D-1A biplane currently in service. Aichi, Nakajima, and Mitsubishi all submitted designs, and Aichi and Nakajima were both asked for 2 prototypes each. The Aichi design started with low-mounted elliptical wings inspired by the Heinkel HE-70 Blitz. It flew slowly enough that the drag from the landing gear was not a serious issue, so fixed landing gear were used for simplicity. The aircraft was to be powered by the 710 horsepower Nakajima Hikari 1 9-cylinder radial engine. The first prototype was completed in December of 1937, and flight trials began 1 month later. Initial tests were disappointing. The aircraft was underpowered and suffered from directional instability in wide turns, and in tighter turns, it tended to snap roll. The dive brakes vibrated heavily when extended at their design speed of 370 km per hour, and the Navy was already asking for a faster diving speed of 440 km an hour. The second aircraft was extensively modified prior to delivery to try to address the problems. Power was increased by replacing the Hikari with an 840 Mitsubishi Kensei 3 in a redesigned cowling, and the vertical tail was enlarged to help with the directional instability. The wings were slightly larger in span, and the outer sections of the leading edges had washout to combat the snap rolls, and strengthened dive brakes were fitted. These changes cured all of the problems except the directional instability, and it was enough for the D3A1 to win over the Nakajima D3N1. In December of 1939, the Navy ordered the aircraft as the Navy Type 99 Carrier Bomber Model 11. The production models featured slightly smaller wings and increased power in the form of a 1,000 horsepower Kensei 43 or 1,070 horsepower Kensei 44. The directional instability problem was finally cured with the fitting of a long dorsal fin, and the aircraft actually became highly maneuverable. Armament was 2 forward-firing 7.7 Type 97 machine guns and 1 flexible 7.7 Type 92 machine gun in the rear cockpit for defense. Normal bomb load was a single 250 kilogram bomb carried under the fuselage, which was slung out under the propeller on a release by a trapeze. 2 additional 60 kilogram bombs could be carried in the wing racks, located under each wing outboard of the dive brakes. The D3A1 commenced carrier qualification trials during 1940, while a small number of aircraft made their combat debut from land bases over China. Starting with the attack on Pearl Harbor, the D3A1 took part in all major Japanese carrier operations in the first 10 months of the war. They achieved their first major success against the Royal Navy during their Indian Ocean raid in April of 1942. VAL dive bombers scored over 80% hits with their bombs during attacks on 2 heavy cruisers and on an aircraft carrier during the operation. During the course of the war, VAL dive bombers had to frequently combine their attacks upon enemy warships. Consequently, enemy vessels were often sunk by a combination strike of bombs and torpedoes. However, there were occasions where just the VALs would make the attacks, or at least score the sinking hits. As the war progressed, there were instances of when dive bombers were pressed into duty as fighters in the interceptor role, their maneuverability being enough to allow them to survive in this role. In June 1942, an improved version of the D3A, powered by a 1,300 horsepower Kinsey 54, was tested as the Model 12. The extra power reduced range, so the design was further modified with additional fuel tanks to bring the total tankage to 900 liters, giving it the range needed to fight effectively over the Solomon Islands. Known to the Navy as the Model 22, it began to replace the Model 11 in frontline units in autumn of 1942, and most Model 11s were then sent to training units. When the Yokosuka D4Y became available, the D3A2s ended up with land-based units or operating from the smaller carriers, which were too small to handle the fast-landing aircraft. When American forces recaptured the Philippines in 1944, land-based D3A2s took part in the fighting, but were hopelessly outdated and the losses were heavy. By then, many D3A1s and D3A2s were operated by training units in Japan, and several were modified with dual controls as Navy Type 99 bomber training Model 12s. During the last year of the war, the D3A2s were pressed back into combat for kamikaze missions. In War Thunder, there's one variant of the D3A1. It is a Rank 1 battle rating 1.7 naval dive bomber. It has a maximum speed of 418 km per hour, a turn time of 30.4 seconds, and a rate of climb of 5.2 meters per second. It is armed with two 7.7mm Type 97 machine guns loaded with 1,800 rounds, and a single rear-facing 7.7mm Type 92 machine gun turret loaded with 1,000 rounds. The bomber only comes with one bomb load consisting of one 250kg numbered 25 Model 2 bomb and two 60kg Navy Type 97 No. 6 ground bombs. The D3A1's bomb load is very potent, but the aircraft's strafing capabilities are limited due to its 7.7mm machine guns. I hope that this information has proved helpful. If you liked the video, please do like the video. If you would like to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe to the channel, and if you think anyone else would be interested in this video, don't be afraid to share it. This is Dauntless Sam. Thanks for watching.